Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Wildwood 25Ice. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up at the top, you are pre-mounted for an observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact our parts department. We'll be more than happy to put together a quote for you. Also located at the back is going to be your exterior shower. 751 key to open up that guy. Hot and cold water. Nice little feature in case you got to wash off the dog or something. Then coming around to the driver's side unit, and this does go for both sides of the bumper cap. Pull on it, it's going to pop out of place. Typically that's going to be where you want to store your sewer hose after your first use. The reason we don't have one in there yet is we do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment for you. But after your first use, it's typically going to be where you want to store it. Just tries to keep as much smell out of the unit as possible, and then the cap just does just press right into place. Cable satellite outlet in case you were hooking up anything like that. And then you do your standard 30 amp twist lock connection. You just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this guy. Once you do line those up, firmly push it into place, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded color to really lock it down. Right down here, you got your second sewer outlet. This is probably going to be the one you're going to want to do first, as you do have your black tank here. The reason I tell you to do that one first is the black tank is going to be that dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray and your galley, which is going to be up ahead a little bit. Works pretty simple. Pull the sewer cap off. Your sewer hose is going to have the same ear as this does. They just line up with the notches like so and twist and lock into place. You got your stabilizer jack. Just keeping a note, they are stabilizing jacks. They aren't leveling jacks. Don't try and use them as so, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them. Same does go if you're running them up or down with an impact. But we do have a manual 3/4 inch drive tool. Running it up to this drive nut, running this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just giving it another 8/4 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. Then you're going to have your city water connection. So if you're at a site of service, you can just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the needing to run your water pump. Then you have your black tank flush. So the way that works is if you're noticing false monitor panel readings inside or just an odor around the unit, it's a good idea to give that black tank a flush every now and then. Just making sure you do read the caution sticker. It's very important that you do have the sewer hose connected as well as the black tank valve open. Reason being, if you're pushing pressure inside that tank and that pressure has nowhere to go, it could expand that tank to the point of cracking. So just keep that in mind whenever you are using it. And then right up ahead, you do the galley sewer exit. This is going to be one of the ones you want to do last, as it's going to be out of your kitchen sink. Another stabilizer jack here. Then on this side, you do get that storage compartment where you're going to find that 3/4 inch drive tool. Also located inside here is just this little laundry chute that you can use to get access to it from the inside. Whenever you are piling stuff inside of here, just keeping in mind that your ram for your versatile bed is right there. Not going to be wanting to block that or pile something way up too close to it, as it does need room to move. Coming around to the front, battery disconnect switch right on that front frame there with it in the on position like it is now. The batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn that to the off position, the batteries would be disconnected from the unit. Battery is located inside this black box here. And then this big cover right up front does house your 2 propane tanks. Typically, you can get what you need done just by loosening off those tabs, moving them out of the way. You get access to the top of both the tanks, but just for the purpose of the video, I will just slide this tank right out of place. 2 standard 20-pound propane tanks, regulator right at the front. With the regulator pointed to this tank, you can be drawing off this tank counterclockwise like any standard barbecue, nice and slowly to open up the flow of propane. Now if this tank were to go dry, you would just have to close it, disconnect it. You can go and get it filled up, and while you're doing that, you could switch it over to this side and run off this tank. Now coming around to the passenger side of the unit, you got that other side of the storage compartment. It is where you're going to have your standard starter kit. It comes with a 15-foot water hose, 10-foot sewer hose, and then of course that 15 amp park adapter, which I've already told you about, and then just some other miscellaneous goodies. Power switch here turns on these nice accent lights coming down the side of the trailer. They look pretty good at night. Nice way to spruce up your campsite a little bit. Inside this one here, Opening that guy up, you do get your little outside mini fridge. Now this does only work whenever you're hooked up to shore power, so just keep that in mind. There is a little freezer up top here. Now there is no temperature control for this guy, unfortunately. Once you plug the unit in, it automatically turns on and stays on for the remainder of the time that you do have the unit plugged in. Furnace exhaust, so whenever your furnace is running, this guy's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. You get your fresh water connection. So if you're out boondocking or your site doesn't have water, put a garden hose in here, or if you wanted to siphon water in here, you could also do that, and that's what fills your fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. You got a little TV mount here in case you wanted to mount the TV. Mount the TV outside. The TV inside also has the exact same mount. So if you wanted to take the one from the inside off the wall, it's pretty simple. You just got to lift up on it, and you'll be able to hook it up into this guy. And then you got a couple plugins here for that, as well as a couple coaxes. Down below, right by this tire here, you're gonna notice this white valve. That is the fresh tank drain, so if you wanted to drain out your fresh tank, that's gonna be how you do so. Last but not least, for the outside, you got your little hot water heater Shur's port. Opening that guy up, main thing you're gonna worry about, just this power switch. Leaving it in the on position supplies power to the thermostat inside. Then you got your pressure relief valve. We'll go over a couple winterizing notes just real quick. If you've had a trailer before and did the winterizing yourself, you probably remember having a tanked water heater, in which case you had bypass valves you had to turn because you didn't want antifreeze entering the system. Now this system is the complete opposite because it's a tankless system. It's a bunch of copper coils that run in a circle with a big flame that happens in the middle. So the reason we do tell you not to bypass this one, there isn't going to be any bypass valves behind it. You want to run antifreeze through this system, and then once you're done winterizing, cracking this pressure relief valve and leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter, so that way once that antifreeze does start gelling up during those extremely cold winter months, it has a place to go and doesn't expand and crack inside the coils. So again, just keeping that note if you were doing the winterizing yourself. Now to get inside, you're just taking that assist handle, pushing it up, holding it 90 degrees. It's going to allow it to lock into place. It will allow you to open up the door. Get your stairs down, you do it to open up the door all the way. And then you just pull on that blue tab. The stairs are going to kind of start coming towards you. You have adjustable feet. Just using the two tabs here, pushing them in, it'll retract into these holes so you can have nice and level feet for your campsite. Taking a step in that way inside, first thing you notice off on the left is going to be that fire extinguisher, which is pretty much just like home, pull the pin and shoot. And then right down below, you got your main fuse and breaker panel, popping that guy open. Whenever you have a breaker trip, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. You have all your corresponding fuses on the right. Once you do get inside, up on this wall is pretty much where you get most of your control stuff. You got your monitor panel up top. It's going to tell you have a black tube. The black tube isn't hooked up to anything because you don't have a second black tank. You do just have the one. Pushing the button tells you the corresponding level. It does go the same thing for the battery. Galley, gray, pretty self-explanatory. And then you got your water pump switch, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Then you got an awning light switch, which turns on that awning LED light. Then we have what's called an accent light switch. Turning that on, turn some accent lighting on inside the slide out. It's a cool little feature. Main light switch, that's also on a dimmer, so you can go dim or bright. Wherever you leave it, that's where it's going to stay. Turns on all the main living space lights. Then you have your awning control, which we're going to go over first. Push and hold the out button, the awning is going to start making its way out. Always making sure you do keep an eye on it to make sure it goes out nice and even. And there's nothing weird going on. Now, unfortunately, today we aren't going to be able to get it all the way out just due to space. That's going to be all we're both able to go before we're going to run into contact, which we don't want to happen because we don't want to cause any scratching or anything like that. Now, if we're to start reading, take any arm front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now, if you like that angle better, because it's going to allow for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the front arm, just making sure that you do push them both back to straight before you try to bring the awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. Now, because we were talking about rain, let's say it starts getting a little too aggressive and the winds pick up. You're always going to want to make sure you do keep an eye on wind speed whenever you have this out. It acts as a wind sail. Once the winds start picking up, there's a good chance it could possibly wreck your arms or rip your fabric, which again we don't want. It can get pretty costly pretty quick. So just making sure you do bring it in. And now let's say you did have to bring it in while it was wet. It's not a big deal. Put it at your next earliest convenience. Trying to remember to put it out so that you allow it time to dry out properly. That way you're not accelerating the growth of mold or mildew on it. And then to bring it in, pushing the up button, it's going to roll its way in. Once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors are automatically cut out. Then you got your slide out switch, which works pretty easy. You just hold the button, the slide out starts making its way out. But before you do that, you always want to go over a check, making sure you have enough room on the other side of the slide to open it up all the way. And then making sure you check on the inside. Things do tend to shift during travel. Just making sure that you check in between the slide out and the wall, making sure nothing got stuck in there. It's going to get stuck. Obviously, it's going to be pretty hard to do that on the other side because you can't really get to it. But just being visual and mindful whenever you're running it out, making sure it's going out nice and even, and always trying to do full strokes whenever you're using it, all the way out or all the way in. We know that's not always possible, so it's not the end of the world if you have to do a quarter or a half stroke. It's just easier on the system if you do full strokes. Pushing and holding the out button, slide out starts making its way out. Once it does hit its full extension, you're gonna hear the motors wind up and click, and you can let off the button. There you go, so it's at its full extension now. If you want to be extra cautious, you take your hand, stick it behind the slide out, and just making sure that the slide out is sealed against the wall. That way you're sealing water out. You got your JBL sound system here. It's pretty self-explanatory. Hit the button, it turns itself on. If you hit the Bluetooth button, that is going to be how you pair your phone, and that's what the sound system runs off of, is your phone. You got this little speaker button, pushing the button, mutes it, unmutes it. You got play and pause, you got volume control, and this little light button. It just dims the lights to wherever you would like it. Power button again to turn it back off. Then we can just go into the bathroom quickly since it is just right here. You're gonna notice this door is a sliding door. Now before you ever start traveling, you're always gonna wanna make sure you triple check this door as well as the bedroom door, making sure that those travel straps are latched, because if they aren't latched, it's gonna allow that door to slide around freely, in which case it's probably gonna cause some damage. So again, just making sure you do latch them before you start driving. That way you're not damaging anything. Now, we got what's called a selfie light. Turning that on, turns on some illumination lights behind the mirror, and then the other lights are just on their own center push buttons. Right beside the light switch is the thermostat for your hot water heater. Power button to turn it on and off. You can go up or down at any time to change your set temperature. As an added safety feature, you're going to be locked to 122 degrees Fahrenheit right off the bat. Now hopefully your kids aren't watching this, because if you hold the button for about 5 seconds, it'll allow you to bump it up 5 more degrees. The reason they have that lock in there is just so that kids can't scold their hands, so just be careful whenever you are using it, especially if you have kids. Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. Other than that, pretty standard bathroom. Tons of storage throughout this unit, including inside the bathroom. Now just whenever you are using the storage inside of here, just being mindful of drains and water lines and wiring. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of that whenever you are using the storage space. Right up top, you got your roof vent counterclockwise to open that guy up. Once you got that guy all the way open, if you were to forget that open right now, there's a chance you could run some damage to the vent lid. And then of course, if it's going to start raining outside, it's going to get wet inside of here. We do sell Max Air covers here at the shop. It's a cover that goes over top of this vent. It is going to protect that vent against hail. It's also going to protect it if you were to forget it open. It's not going to damage the lid from the wind. And of course, if it's going to start raining, it's not going to get wet inside of here. So if you're showering, wanted that fan running, it's not going to get wet inside of here having this open and the fan on. It's a great little addition you can get added to your camper just by contacting your parts department. Again, they'd just be more than happy to help you out, put a quote together. Other than that, again, you got your shower, bath, toilet. You got little fold down towel hangers, which I thought was pretty cool. Now just taking a step into the main living space. All the blinds in the unit are going to work the same way. They're just going to kind of sit where you leave them. One quick pull will allow them to retract back up. Now we have inside this slide out, which is what is called the Versa Lounge. Now included with the Versa Lounge is some storage underneath it, which is going to include some baskets as well, which Forest River did include. And now what I mean by Versa Lounge is you currently have it set up as a sectional with lots of couch space with a little bit of eating space. Now that's pretty easily switchable. You're just having to pull these cushions out of the way, set them aside, out of the way, pick up this piece of the couch. It comes right out of its stake pockets. You got feet on either side. Now, whenever you are doing this, just being careful because it could puncture the leather pretty easily, which we don't want. And if you just take this, you can flip it over to this side here, and set the stakes back inside their little pockets. And you'll be able to see them. They're just black little pockets once they line them up. Sometimes you can put your eyes. Fold that down, and now you have a bigger table eating space, and of course a smaller couch space. Now, with the Versa Lounge, again, there's just tons of options you can do with it. You can pick up the foot of the couch, pull it towards you. It's going to fold that down into a bed. Now, if you want to make it a really, really big bed, you could also fold down the couch into its own bed. Fold down the table. You just have to remove your feet from underneath the table, set the tabletop on its desired ledges, and then you could take your back cushions to fill in the center. And again, you'd have a really big bed space. Tons of options. You can get really do whatever you want with it. And into the kitchen space, you got to light another switch here, which again is going to turn on some more accent lights inside here, which I thought was pretty cool. Then you got your sink with hot and cold water. In addition to that, if you pull this guy open, you're going to see you got more storage space. There's sliding drawers all throughout. Then you come to your stove. Now the stove does run off propane, and because this unit is equipped with propane, you got your LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just means you're getting to worrisome levels inside. So go turn off your main supply of propane at the front of the unit, open up some windows and vents to get some fresh oxygen inside of here. And since we're going over propane, whenever you turn your propane system off at the front of the trailer, it does allow air into the system, and now it exceptionally adds air into the system whenever you disconnect one of those bottles. Whenever air makes its way into the system, it does have to be purged out. Quickest, easiest way to do that is just through your stove, because you're manually operating those gas valves. The reason I say that is if you try to fire up your water heater or your furnace, those only try lighting themselves a couple times before they'll throw a fault code at you because they don't sense a flame. And if you don't know what that code means, it could throw a little wrench into your weekend and cause some frustration. We do want to avoid that. So again, it's just a good idea to always fire up your stove quickly whenever you do first get to your campsite. And to do that, it's pretty simple. You do have to turn on that illumination knob so that you can supply power to the igniters. And now it's very important whenever you do turn this gas valve to the high option, you're always going to want to make sure you're hitting that sparker every few seconds. That way you don't have a buildup of gas, and when you go to hit the sparker, a minor combustion, which is going to cause you to lose some eyebrows and eyelashes most likely. Again, another thing we're going to want to avoid. So just making sure you do hit that sparker every few seconds. That way, if there's gas coming out of there, it's going to ignite right away instead of building up and causing a combustion. And now, of course, you're going to see it did fire up pretty quickly today. Sometimes it can take a few minutes, so just be patient with it. As long as you're holding the gas valve open and hitting that sparker every few seconds, eventually it will light up. Down below, you do get your little microwave, which Furrion is definitely upgraded this year. It even does have an air fry option, which I thought was pretty slick. Again, that's going to be just pretty much just like home. There's not much I'm going to have to show you there. And then you got your Furrion fridge. It is a 12-volt fridge, so it'll work whenever you are on 12-volt. Now, with that being said, you're going to notice right down here, you got off. You're going to have some off-grid writing there. That's just telling you the most energy-efficient setting to run it on whenever you're on battery power. And then, of course, all the way to the right is going to be its coldest option. So if you're plugged in, that is also going to be the fastest way to get everything cold. That's going to be it for that inside of there. And then you got your little entertainment center. TV remote's going to be inside that binder. Also included inside that binder is going to be any manuals for the unit as well as the keys. In addition to that, you got your fireplace right down below. Power button on the far left. The button right next to it is going to do all your different flame colors, and then you got your different flame options. In addition to that, that flame option, it is affecting the amount of fan level it's on. And then of course you got your temperature setting, which goes all the way to like 90 degrees, I'm pretty sure, Fahrenheit. And then one more, sorry, it goes all the way up to like 100, off, on, 41 degrees Fahrenheit, the lowest setting. Power button to turn it back off. I was telling you about storage, and I wasn't kidding. If you open this guy up, you get a huge storage space, little pantry space. The plug-in for the TV does run behind here and plugs in up top. You got a couple coax outlets here in case you had that set up. A little black button here. Now that little black button does turn power on to the antenna on the roof. That's also going to improve radio frequency and cell phone frequency, so we typically recommend leaving it on whenever you're using the unit. But whenever you aren't using the unit, try to remember to turn it off, as it does draw battery power. And then up top here, you got a motion sensing light. It's got two different options though. On setting 2, it's going to be the motion sensing option. The middle's off, and then setting 1 is on full time. Again, I'm going to recommend leaving it on that setting 2. That way it's just on whenever you open up the door. You got your AC output here. Now you got two different options you can run that on. Run it with the louvers open, in which case it'll dump all its air into the main living space, or you can close them off and it'll move its air through the ceiling ducting we have throughout the unit. What I recommend doing, leave these louvers open once you first get to your campsite, cool off the main living space. Once the main living space is cool, you can close them off and start pushing the air more throughout. You got a couple intake screens. You're just having to pull on those tabs. This will pop down. You can pop this out of place, give it a blow with some compressed air if you notice it's dirty, and then you can put it back in. That's just going to help keep the flow nice when moving air throughout. Now the furnace in this unit, again, is going to run off propane, so you're going to have to make sure you have that on and purged. And the furnace only has one fan speed. It's going to move all its air through the 4 portals you have throughout the unit. Now to control all that, you come to your thermostat here. It's pretty self-explanatory. You push the button once, it lights itself up. Push it again, you go into your different modes. Push it one more time, you can get to a fan option. So you can run that on either high or low. If you do run it, you're just moving air around using the air conditioner though. There's no heating or cooling involved. We will just cycle that back to off, go into your modes, pushing it over. You go into cool, hit the button. Now whenever you go into your fan here, you're gonna see it says auto. Whenever it's an auto, it's an on-demand system. So if the room's currently 74, once the thermostat senses it's at 70 degrees, it'll automatically kick out the air conditioner. If you don't have it on auto and you have it on high or low, the air conditioner is gonna run full time regardless of what you have the room set to. Pushing the button again, you can turn that over and go into heat. Now that's going to kill your air conditioner, fire up your furnace. Whenever your furnace is on, you're going to have to make sure you have the auto on. If you don't have the auto on, it's not going to work that well. And then after the heat, you get cool plus heat. Now that's going to be the setting, again, I recommend using, because depending on what you have your room set to and what the room is, will depend on what it kicks in. So it'll either kick in the furnace if it drops below that temperature, or kick the air conditioner in if it goes above. One more time you get to cool, that's just a dehumidifying mode to try and take as much moisture out of the air as possible. And then one more time we'll just cycle you right back to off. Now we can take a step on into the bedroom. Light switch is on your left. Get your versatile bed control right down below that. Obviously if you go up, it's going to start pushing itself up. And if you go down, it'll start pushing its way down. You got fire exit right here. Pretty simple. Pull the red tab, screen's gonna pop right out of the way. Then you can take this handle, fold it up, push it on, hop on out of the unit. Try and go feet first. It's gonna be the safest way to go. Head first is not the most ideal, but if there's a fire, just try and get out as fast as you can, obviously. Storage all around. You do have plugins on either side of the bed, as well as USB and USB-C plugins. If you pick up the foot of the bed, it does give you access into that front storage compartment, as well as some more of these bins, which again Forest River decided to include, which I thought was pretty nice of them. Then last but not least, you do have your little closet inside of here. It's also going to be where another furnace output is, so try not to block it, otherwise you're going to block all the air inside of the closet. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.